everyone, GrimmmReviews here with another Transformers review. Today, we will be looking at Transformers Studio Series Leader Class Dark of the Moon Shockwave. Shockwave and his Cybertronian driller pet made their live-action debut with Transformers Dark of the Moon back in 2011. Despite being heavily underutilized in the film, Shockwave remains as one of the coolest Bayformer designs, and it is really sad that we did not manage to see more of him than we did in the film. Originally appearing in Transformers Generation 1, Shockwave had a unique voice, killer look, and an unforgettable alt mode that made him quite the standout in the series. Of course, with gun alt modes being a thing of the past, it has left Shockwave with the same dilemma Megatron has faced over the years, ultimately giving us yet another Cybertronian tank mode. Starting Shockwave off in this vehicle mode here, we see that he is just like many other Cybertronian alt modes, just a heap of nothing. I suppose his alt mode has an essence of tank about him, but ultimately he just comes across as kind of a mess. Taking a closer look here, we can see some of this deep purple plastic that runs through the figure that's mixed with this kind of darker, almost black plastic that gives the vehicle mode this nice marbled look that runs throughout. On the back here, we get a trio of shiny silver and bronze jet thrusters on this little pivot here, as well as this giant soft rubber hose that connects between the thrusters and this giant turret on top. And this thing just really kind of poorly connects, often coming undone on my figure and just usually becoming more of a nuisance than anything, hindering its mobility and just being more of an eyesore in vehicle mode than anything else. We get some molded tank treads here near the bottom, as well as 4 fairly small plastic wheels that leave much to be desired for rollability. Like, this thing does not roll well, in my opinion. You can get it across, but he kind of scrapes, and this hose, like previously mentioned, just completely butchers the rollability of this guy. So, like, if you remove this, just like so, yeah, just real quick. Or just unplug it for a second. It does roll a lot better, but it's still not the best. Shockwave, much like Revenge of the Fallen Megatron, also suffers from this sort of visible face syndrome, with only these disappointingly loose and flimsy plastic shields to protect it. Other details worth noting are these giant tusk-like protrusions that come from the front of the vehicle mode, as well as this detachable blade on top that can be attached to the various ports on the vehicle mode wherever you would so please. It can attach here on the side of the blade, or even on the opposite side of the arm. It's your figure. It's really up to you on how you would like to display it, but those are things that you can do. Which, taking a closer look at this blade, we see that it's made of this very soft, rubbery material with some silver scuffing details added towards the front. This softer material can also be found throughout the rest of the figure with the tusks, this barrel of the gun, and the hose itself being of this softer material, and the hand, but we'll touch on that in robot mode. Overall, I do have to kind of ask why they decided to go with this sort of tank mode and not anything a bit more unique. I mean, this vehicle is already kind of derivative of, Megatron's alt mode from Revenge of the Fallen. And it's not like Shockwave ever turned into this particular tank mode in any media other than the original Dark of the Moon toy. So I cannot help but wonder why they didn't just decide to try something new here to perhaps give him a bit more of a unique and fun alt mode. But enough of the vehicle mode, let's get this guy transformed, shall we? Alright, to start off, all we're going to do is we are going to detach the hose here for ease of transformation. It just plugs in right there. Detach that. Come around to the front. We're going to take the turret and we're just going to lift it up, and that's just going to unpeg from a peg right there, and that's just going to come loose. Lift that up, get it out of the way. Take the other arm, do the same thing. Lift, up, untab. And yeah, I'm sure you can see where this is going. So just go ahead and untab the legs from the side, and these are going to rotate outward. And then we're going to bring this guy down here so that, that's his bottom, or the bottom of the vehicle mode. So I am going to move the camera up just a little bit. So you're going to take the head and you're just going to rotate it down like so. Come around to the legs. You're going to take the legs and you're going to rotate them out. Rotate them out. Come around to the back. Adjust the camera. Come back here to the back section. We're going to take the arms and they're just kind of collapsed in here, and you're going to move these panels out. for clearance, unplug these jets from the arms, like so. You're going to take this entire backpack section and you're just going to lift it up. It's on this little accordion piece, so it just goes up 1, up 2, like this, and this is becoming a bit of a mess. So we're going to take the legs, we're going to take the hips, and we are just going to move that up and collapse it like so. Same thing with the other side, and then you're just going to have to press kind of firmly to get these parts into position. But once you do, and again, sometimes it takes a little bit of effort, at least on my copy. And there we go. Yeah, mine kind of snaps into place. But once you do, those are all locked in and nice. And then you just come down to the feetsies, and you're going to come down and just, it's on this little double joint here. And you're just going to take the foot, rotate it out, and just kind of rotate it. And make sure this panel is out of the way. Then you're just going to take the foot and just kind of accordion it back, like so, into place. Same thing with the opposite side. Rotate up, and it's just on this little double joint. And just fold it back. And then just going to take, well, that panel disappeared on me at some point during the transformation. So you're just going to take these panels and you're just going to fold them, rotate them around, so that way they just kind of dangle. They don't provide any support. They just kind of sit there and they exist, which is slightly annoying. And like I said, these panels fly off all the time. These do not stick around well. So you just, whenever they do it, you just plug it back in and expect to be doing that a lot, which that's not even the right way. So yeah, you just plug it back in and then you just, it fell again. Oh wow, these things. These panels. So yep, plug it, please. Thank you very much. And then just rotate the panel around and it just kind of hangs off the back like so. So we have the legs all done and you're starting to get the idea of this guy. So come around to the backpack. And the backpack's just on this kind of double hinge here and you're just going to accordion it down. Make sure that these jet thrusters are fold back and they just kind of tab into place right there. And then you can just come around to the front, make sure these arms are folded so that way you can collapse the backpack into place like so. And then these arms are just going to fold in and tab, one here. You can see the port here and the tab there. And then that's just going to tab into place. Same thing on the other side. And then just get this guy kind of all flush, move the arms down, and then you can retake the hose and just plug it back in like so. Just give it a little push. There we go. And there we have Shockwave in his robot mode. And the final thing you can do is you can take his arm blade, this little arm blade that you get, the soft rubber, and just plug it back in to his arm. And there we have Shockwave transformed and ready to go. After all that, here we have Shockwave in his robot mode. And this here is where this guy really shines, in my opinion. This guy does an amazing job at capturing Shockwave's model from Dark of the Moon. With my only real complaints, I suppose, being that this backpack here is a bit too high, and these heel flaps being super flimsy and just so easy to fall off and break off with like no problem. Like it's so easy. Taking a closer look at his face sculpt here, we can see this guy absolutely kills it with this deep purple plastic on his head, this nice silver paint around the mandibles, and this killer red mono eye that is a Shockwave staple no matter the generation. Moving downward, we can see what I believe to be a lot of alien inspiration with this very xenomorph looking chest piece. Shockwave's arm cannon, as previously mentioned, has a softer material for the barrel, as well as this false thumb here that helps kind of recreate the original Dark of the Moon toy. And on his other arm, we have his arm blade, which as previously mentioned can be moved to various ports on Shockwave's body, depending on how you would like to display him. And Shockwave's hand is also made of this very soft plastic material or rubber material, and is on a slight hinge, giving it a little bit of movement, but not much. Moving on to the articulation breakdown, Shockwave's head is on a little ball joint and can rotate 360 degrees and can look up and down with quite a lot of ease. Down movement is mainly due to kind of the transformation hinge here, so it can kind of look a little wonky if you're not careful. But regardless, that kind of movement is there, so you can get some nice kind of looking around movement. Shoulders can rotate 360 degrees, and arms are on a hinge that can allow him to do a nice T-pose. He has a bicep swivel, or it's actually more at his elbow, so you can rotate that 360 degrees, and I just got that caught for a moment, whoops. Elbow, 90 degree, bend, perfect. Hand has a little bit of wrist movement, but not much. And the gun arm has a little bit of movement in this thumb here, and can bend at the elbow, a little bit over 90 degrees, and can swivel out. Sadly, there is no articulation or rotation here at the waist or the hips, which really kind of hinder that part of the articulation, which is kind of sad. But moving down to the legs, legs can move out at the thigh, 90 degrees, and it can rotate 360 degrees. There is a thigh swivel here, so the thigh can rotate 360 degrees and can bend 90 degrees at the knee. And you get this little panel here for the kneecap that allows for clearance. Going down to the foot has no rotation, but can tilt forward due to transformation quite a bit, can tilt up quite a bit, and can tilt out to 9 degrees. So you can get the full Jean-Claude Van Damme going on if you so choose. Don't know why, but you can. So that's good. Shockwave also comes with 3 different accessories. Those being this little parachute pilot like in the film, and these itsy bitsy tiny versions of Wheelie and Brains. Like, these things are absolutely tiny. Which, taking a closer look at the paratrooper here, he's stuck in this kind of perpetual falling pose. This guy has some nice molded black plastic for the body, and this cloth parachute, which really doesn't do much for, stopping his descent, but it does complete the look, so that's very nice. Then aside from that, we get Brains and Wheelie. Now, these things are super tiny, like I said, and for comparison, here is the Brains that you get. Let's see if I can... And here's a penny. These things are so small, like ridiculously small. However, despite their size, you actually get a lot of nice detail with these things. Let me see if I can show them off here. All right, so here we have Brains all zoomed in the best I could do. And as you can see here, he's this nice... He has like this brilliant silver paint on him with this nice metallic blue hair. And there really is a lot of molded detail on this guy, which I'm not sure if the camera is really going to be able to pick up because this guy is so small. But regardless, hopefully you can tell there's a lot of nice detail on this guy, including those eyes, painted eyes and everything. Wheelie, on the flip side, is made out of this nice blue plastic with black trim with these nice beady red eyes. And again, he is very nicely detailed. Let's see if I can get the... Which, it's kind of sad. I don't know if my camera is going to be able to properly pick up the... Yay! That's a bit better. And we'll show up Brains again, just to be sure. But yeah, there we go. Hopefully you can see a bit more about how much detail is put into this guy. And there he is from the back. And yeah, that's a lot of effort for such a small figure. So there we go with Brains again. Hopefully you can tell a bit better. And let me flip him around. And yeah, those are the 3 accessories that you get with Shockwave. Having these guys come with the figure really makes up for the lackluster vehicle mode and transformation of Shockwave in my eyes. But before we get to the final thoughts segment, let's get Shockwave turned from his robot back into his vehicle mode. So, to do this, first we're just going to take these panels that popped off, and I'm just going to pop them back on real quick, just so they can pop back off when I transform this guy. Which you're not seeing this, sorry, my bad. So we're just going to take that little panel, and we are just going to pop it on back there, so it's back where it was. All right, and to transform this guy, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug the backpack, and then I'm just going to take the backpack, and I'm going to separate it from the back and lift this panel up, and then I'm going to come around to the back of the arms. The arms, I'm just going to untab from the torso. They're just tabbed in with this little peg, and that's going to free up this whole back section, which is just going to come loose for a moment. So we're just going to kind of bring that down. Coming down to the legs, we're going to take the feet, and we are going to extend the feet out on that double hinge. Move this little panel so that way it's flush with the foot like so. Same thing with this side. I'm just going to rotate that panel, and that's going to end up being the face covering. And then just bring the foot down, rotate it down, and just kind of extend it out so that way it's flush with the treads. Come around to the other side and do the same thing. Just extend out and bring it down, and like so. Come to the waist, and we're going to free up the legs, so you're just going to give that a nice little tug, and that's going to extend out these little hinges. Same thing with this side, like so, and we're just going to bring those all the way out. So now we're just going to flip this entire body, so that way Shockwave is facing downward. We're going to move his head up and forward, so that way he's facing outward. And now, here comes the fun part. We're going to take these arms, and we're going to just kind of bring them in on this hinge, so that way it is flush with this little back piece, like so, and it's just going to tab in. Same thing with the other side, like so. Come around to the back, and then we're going to take these legs, we're going to rotate them around, so that way the legs end up facing with the feet out front. Same thing with the other side, leg, rotate around, like so. And then there's just going to be a port here and a tab there, and you're just going to take the legs, and you are going to, let me move that out of the way. Take the legs, and you're just going to tab that in. Other side. Whoop. Port, tab, and then you're just going to, they're just going to tab it in. All right, anyway, after it's tabbed in, you are going to take this section. There is a little peg right there, a little hole on the back of the waist, and you are just going to accordion it down. So we're just going to bring that little hinge up, accordion it down, so that way this entire section just plugs into the back like so. So that should be all plugged in. That should be raised just a little bit to make sure everything's nice and tabbed. And then we're just going to bring the arms down. And the arms, there is a port here, tab here, and you're just going to bring those down and just tab it in like so. Same thing on the other side, bring it down, tab it in like so, and we are very close to being done. So you're going to take the hose, take the backpack. This backpack is going to raise up, and there's going to be two tabs here that are going to tab into these little holes here. So you're just going to tab in the boosters, come around here to the hose, take the hose, and make sure this is lined up with the port, and just kind of plug it in. Boom. Like so. And there we have, after you just kind of finagle everything the way you want, Shockwave and his vehicle mode. And I forgot to do these panels. So you're just going to take these panels and rotate them up, so that way it just very loosely covers his face. And they just kind of sit there and just slightly block it. But yeah, there we have Shockwave in his vehicle mode. Closing out here, I think Studio Series Shockwave does a great job at capturing the look of his model from the film. With that being said, his alt mode is still a hunk of nothing that rolls not the best, and the lack of hip or waist swivel really hinders the articulation of this guy. While the other three characters you get are cool, the size of Wheelie and Brains has me so afraid to lose him that I just keep them in a plastic bag with the paratrooper since he really doesn't stand or anything. I mean, you can absolutely reenact that scene from the movie, I guess, but overall, it's hard for me to display them and not worry about losing them or something happening to them. In some ways, I almost wish Hasbro just focused on Shockwave himself, using those extra resources to help improve the weaker elements of this figure. I'm not sure if I could recommend this guy at retail price, but if you ever see him on any sort of discount, and if you think you like what you see, I would highly recommend getting him. This has been Grimm Reviews. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I hope to see you all next time. Bye-bye!